Hi everyone. I just got back from a walk with Willow and I put my earbuds on because I'm hoping that if Willow comes back up here, you won't hear her breathing so much. So I had time to integrate, and a really great thing happened. I think you guys know this. I joined one business program that's a year long in November of 2021. Then I joined another one that's a year long in December of 2021. And it's like, what I felt was one of the programs, the woman is like kind of how I was when I had my gym, just was so powerful. And then, waking up early, doing all the things, this woman just checks all the boxes the way I did when I had my gym. And then the other woman I felt like was this just divine feminine representation for me to calibrate to, because I felt very, very much of an empty vessel and ready to move forward to share this experience with everybody, because I had spent so much time in daily meditation, an hour minimum, hundreds of pages of notes of different things that I put together of science and spirit of quantifying this physical experience that I was having. Because the more shadow work I did and soul retrieval that I did and integration that I did, the healthier my body became, and my body would reject the old systems that I was using. So I have a completely different environment and lifestyle and habits and body. And the ironic thing is that my environment really hasn't changed. I'm literally back in my childhood bedroom. So it's I think that for me, at least, when I would hear things about how, you have to change everything if you want to have this physical aesthetic change in your body, everything has to change. And so it's everything had already changed. I had already divorced. I had already, tried to live in Texas. I had already moved back home with my mom to get back on my feet. I had already done all of the big life changes, and so much of my changes have happened in the same exact environment as my inner child. And even when I walk by the childhood home that I was an infant in, I have stood there, I sat against the wall there one day, and I just imagined taking pieces of my 5-year-old and under body back into me, because I thought, well, if there's fragments of our soul out there, there's fragments of my now lifetime experience probably still energetically at that house. And when I had that moment of clarity, I was actually just right around the corner from it. And I was like, okay, you're going to sit here. And I had my back up against the wall, and I just felt that retrieval come back into my heart. So it's I'm sharing this with you because I have always wanted to have a six-pack. I've always wanted to have, shoulders and biceps that showed. And I could never, ever, ever, ever do it. And sometimes I remember hearing people talk about the changes that you have to make and the things that you have to let go of. And it seemed so scary. But I'm telling you, I've done it in the same environment. And the environmental changes that I've made has been music, what I'm watching on the television and on the internet, and separating work and myself. That's been a big thing. So just wanted to share that with you. And so I'm so glad I'm in these two programs, because the support has really helped me make decisions with my inner being of what the new iteration of myself is. So to the inner being and the inner child, again, I'm super proud of myself, because the more I'm working on this, the more I'm feeling more grounded and more specific of why this work is important and how we can make these meditations even more powerful for you. So when we have the inner child broken heart operating system, the inner child is oscillating between masculine mind and feminine heart. And so when we feel an emptiness in our body, or we feel a not good enough thought, what happens is the two energies that we created, the two components of the inner child identity, the mental and emotional state. Tony Robbins talks about the mental emotional state. The two components, mind and emotion, are the things that start to go off unconsciously from like an erratic heart signal that's shattered. And so what I have come to realize is that the habits that are necessary for me to get this six pack are almost they're such a small part of it, because it's just eating a certain amount of fat, eating a certain amount of carbs, eating a certain amount of protein, drinking the gallon of water, spacing out my meals every few hours, and having the forethought to prepare for meals so that I will always be fed. I will always be taken care of. And so everything that I have had in my head, and so many of us have in our head about what diet and exercise is necessary for, is teeny tiny tip of the iceberg, because it's who we are in between those spaces. And it's who we are when we are projecting onto the food, onto the exercise, what we wanted from our caregivers. And so we're using diet and exercise to fulfill the emotional need of the inner child, because it's like, we're like, okay, well, if I do this certain thing, then I will have the physical result. Right? And so for me, that translated into, if I perform and if I show up as really smart, then I will be seen by my dad. So what I want to convey to you is that whatever it is that you are placing the power on the diet and exercise, that is the place that you are as the inner child, looking for that attention from the caregiver. And so the more that I have looked at my mental, emotional states of the inner child, the less the outside stuff has mattered, to where it's very automated. So the other ironic thing is how our body always is telling us and leading us. My main carbohydrate sources are red, orange, and yellow bell peppers. What colors are the chakras that I focus on? I'm like blown away by that all the time. So I'm just sharing with you, like, who knows? So when we switch into the crystalline lotus heart of the inner being, what that is the energetic operating system that's connecting us to, quote unquote, the other side, our spiritual side. And so what happens is, as we're clearing out these mental and emotional identities, patterns, and habits, and ways of perceiving ourself, our body, and our place in the world, right? The existential questions, kind of, not really. I think that the real existential questions are a little different. Like who we are, why we're here, and like where do we go, or what's our purpose or something. I don't know. Anyway, the more I cleared my relationship with myself, my relationship with my body, and my relationship with my place in the world, the easier everything else has become. And I am creating more contrast in the deep, deep, deep unconscious. And so when I did the first big chunk of soul retrieval, shadow work, all of that in 18 months from 2020 into whatever it was, the big chunk of all of that work, okay? That was the painful stuff. Because I still had the inner child attachment to the experiences meaning something about me. And because all of this information is stored in the physical body, the molecules of emotion and the vibrations really do affect you. You feel it in a personal sense. Now, what I have discovered is that the higher I'm operating and getting into the crystalline lotus heart of the light body of the inner being, the level of contrast away from that high vibration, because I'm so far up here, when the vibration of the low unconscious activates, I am perceiving in so much love, peace, clarity, and wisdom that this thing that activates doesn't hurt. It doesn't take me out. I'm perceiving it. I'm not experiencing it. And that's a huge difference, because that extreme difference between the crystalline lotus heart of the light body inner being and the broken heart of the inner child, this is the state that shows up with me all the time that allows me to have the thought, I would really like an ice cream sandwich right now. And I have this goal. I have plenty of calories. I know I can eat, 5 animal crackers to get this little sugar fix, because I know that I have this goal. And by the way, everybody, I know that on Saturday, I'm going to eat whatever I want when we go out for my mom's birthday. And I will be bloated for a few days, and that will be it of it. And then I'll be right back on it on Sunday. So it's like we can have the feeling come up that says, I want this thing, but we also will have the intelligence of, this is just a craving. This is just boredom. This is because it sounds really, really good. That's the state that you can get into when you're doing diet and exercise, to be able to look at your body and make conscious choices of what you're putting into it and what you're doing to it. So, let's go into the meditation. Okay. So I want to stay with the root chakra, because I'm focusing on the root chakra right now, because this is basically like the base operating system of your whole chakra column. Okay. So the tree of life comes up through this. And so when we go into the root chakra today, what I would like you to, even right now, like you're already activated with everything I shared with you. We've already been poking holes in your consciousness fence to think about what would it be like to operate out of the crystalline lotus heart instead of the inner child broken heart. Okay. So when we go into this meditation, what I would like you to think of is, when you have your dream body of your health and your aesthetic, when you have that dream body, and you can sense what it feels like when you look at yourself in the mirror, and you can sense what it feels like when you're going to the grocery store, or when you're working out, or when you're doing whatever. If you can sense that feeling, that like the angst that you have when you look at what you don't like now, that angst that you have of what you don't like when you look at it, those are just the mental, emotional states of the inner child's relationship with the caregivers projected out into the third dimension, where it could be mirrored back, because it's inside of you. And this whole experience in the third dimension of being human is to experience the self as God source, light source. But we can't experience that if we're still in the broken heart of the little child. So if we're operating out of the broken heart of the inner child, what's going to be projected? The reality of the inner child. So that's how things are going to change. So think about the things that you don't like about your body when you're looking at it, like, and not even the things of like cellulite or rolls, or like, I call them skin tag titties now. My boobs are so saggy. Like, not the aesthetic thing, but the feeling that you have when you look at yourself and you don't like it. That is a projection of a mental, emotional state of the inner child broken heart. So see if you can feel that for a second. You probably know it right away, that feeling, because that's the feeling that I want you to blow out in your root chakra when we observe it. So that way we can train ourselves to listen to the voice of the inner being. And when we listen to the voice of the inner being, we're going to start to develop mental, emotional states that are of the inner being. They are going to be in contrast. So you're going to be aware out in the world when you're experiencing yourself of the contrast and of little signs and of, your angels, your guides, God, everyone showing you a mirror reflection of the inner being mental, emotional state. You're going to start to operate with that heart being the projector, okay, or the reflector. Okay, so Kat says disgust and disappointment. So the opposite, Kat, what's the opposite of disgust and the opposite of disappointment? There's no right or wrong. It's whatever it is for you. And then obviously you can use the thesaurus to look things up even more. So Kat, what I would do is if you want to program yourself with the brain and heart coherence, with the opposite of disgust or the opposite of disappointment, use those. Okay, love and fulfilled. Okay, you know what? Let's all use cats, or I'm gonna cue cats. Everybody else, when you're on the replay, you can use whatever emotion you want, but I'm gonna use love and fulfilled. Okay. So good. Kat, I'm glad you're here live. I'm sure Willow's gonna show up like right when I want you guys to really focus. She's got really good timing. Every time I went into a deep meditation, Willow would always come in here. Okay. So, slow your breath down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And as you have that slow breath, see your heart chakra as a round green sphere. Make it the size of a pinhead in the center of your chest. And on every inhale, inflate it as big as you can. Maybe the size of a basketball. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so with every inhale, grow it as big as you can to that basketball size, and with every exhale, shrink it back down to the size of a pinhole. And go really slow. And really look at this sphere as you do it. Is it crystalline? Are there sparkles? Is there mist? Does it just look like a soap bubble with little swirls of opalescent colors around the surface of it? Just allow it to present itself to you. Then on your next inhale, expand it to be the size of a basketball, and then leave it that big. And you can use love, joy, appreciation, kindness, or care. I'm going to cue love and fulfillment. And so imagine something that would happen in real life that would make you feel love and fulfillment if you had experienced it in real life from the outside in. And so is that standing on a mountaintop, surrounded by trees, looking out into the horizon, knowing that you brought yourself there, you paid all your expenses, you booked the trip, like you did the whole thing, your dream vacation. And as you look around and you feel the breeze blow through your hair, you take a look at your body. You look down at your hands, and beyond your hands you can see your feet, and you wiggle your toes into the grass or into the soft dirt. And then you look back at your hands again, and they're just like the most gorgeous hands you've ever seen. And you reach your arms out in front of you and you look at your forearms and then your upper arm. And then you can touch your shoulders and touch your chest and your stomach and your hips and your legs. And you just feel so present and so happy that you're happy in your body. Like it finally feels like home. There's no tension. There's no strain. No discomfort. And when you feel it, you feel its magnetism. You feel how gorgeous it is. You feel how it radiates the same beauty that a flower radiates, or a tree radiates, or the ocean radiates. Your body is now a radiant creation. And so now, see yourself sitting on that mountain, and you're going to go into your root chakra from that person there on the mountain. And so in that state, bring your awareness into the center of your mind. See a bright star. And on your next inhale, send that star down through your throat and down into your heart chakra. Let it absorb this consciousness of the person on the mountain, feeling love, fulfillment, happiness, radiance. And then send that star down through your solar plexus, down through your sacral chakra, and down into your root. Place it in the center of the root chakra. And on your next inhale, expand your root chakra to the size of a basketball. And then on the exhale, make the star shine and fill the inside edges of the root chakra. Almost like it's going to create an overlay on the inside of the sphere of the root chakra. And that root chakra is holding all of the mental, emotional beingness of who you are, especially ages 0 to 3. And so let that light from the center of your mind, from that star, create a contrast on the inside of that root chakra. Take notice of any feelings or sensations you're having in your body, what you're seeing, smelling, hearing, or physically sensing chills, sweats, feeling cold, feeling pressure. And I want you to put those sensations into that star. And then now, on your next exhale, shrink your root chakra, maybe to the size of a softball. And then bring your star up into your heart. And once it's there, I want you to perceive it. I want you to allow the energy, the emotion, to be like that radio wave for your brain to perceive the signal. And allow your brain to form a picture or play a movie based on whatever energy or emotion you brought up from that root chakra. Take notice of the players in the movie. They don't have to be people that you know. They can just represent the emotion and the mental state of that inner child. Gonna stay here for one more minute. Okay. So now pause that picture or movie. Take a snapshot of it. Try to memorize the feeling and the thoughts. And then now I want you to use the energy in your heart chakra to wash that star. Clear it of all of that mental, emotional information from the root chakra. Let it transmute, dissolve into neutrality in the heart. And then when you're ready, bring that star up through your throat chakra into the center of your mind, where it slowly dims and dissolves into your regular state of consciousness. Okay, so now the work is to use the thesaurus and look for synonyms of the negative, painful emotion so that you can really dial in what your broken inner child is going through still, and use the thesaurus again for antonyms, because the antonyms are the opposite: light body, crystalline lotus heart, inner being, vibration, emotional state. Because now what you want to do is program your physical body with that energy of the antonyms. So you'll listen to your solfeggio frequencies. You can get them on YouTube. You're going to look at your environment and be like, is that the emotional state of my inner being? If it's not, change it. When you put food in your mouth, is this the emotional state of my inner being? This one, I am also like, eat the food that you know you shouldn't be eating if you absolutely cannot resist it, because when you're eating it and after you eat it, your overcorrecting mental, emotional state will kick in. And that's just going to give you even more information to work with to transmute. So whenever you're ready to diet and change your eating habits, that's when you'll do them. But for right now, when you're clearing this stuff, if you do the quote unquote things that you're not supposed to do, you'll allow the judgment, mental, emotional programs to come in, and then you'll just clear things faster because you'll have more information. So that's your work. Yeah. So there is a gifted masterclass on Instagram Friday at 11:11 a.m. Pacific time. And I'm going to be talking about the Inner Child Diet Program. And so that Kat might be really good for you to come to because it is dealing with the root chakra of the inner child, the primitive inner child, which is baby. So you might want to do that. Hey, Brooke, I know you're here. Okay, so I'm going to go. So again, and this is a big week. And Saturday at noon Pacific time, we have our gifted mastermind. And this is our exchange where I'm coaching you through what things come up in these meditations to help you integrate them faster in exchange for you giving me feedback as I develop and articulate this energetic fitness curriculum better and better and better and better. And so the only requirement is that you do 2 energetic fitness routines, aka meditations, the week that we have the call. So just make sure that you do something twice and do the whole thing. Do the thesaurus, do the solfeggio frequencies, do the integration, because this is like the magical, fun, interesting experience, but we have to integrate it into the 3D if we want the physical body to change. It's like this is where we meet God in our inner being, but then we have to be the adult or the parent to bring the inner child into alignment with the inner being. So make sure that you do integrations so that we have something to then go to the next level with on the call. Okay? I love you. I'll see you. Thank you so much. Comment. And we'll see you Friday and we'll see you Saturday. And again, you have 24 hours for mentorship on this thread. Okay, bye.